It's Sunday night. You're on Zillow. You weren't planning to look, but here you are. You see a house. 3 bedrooms, decent backyard, nothing crazy. Price $720,000. You start doing the math in your head. Okay, mortgage might be around $4,200 a month, but at least I'm not throwing money away on rent, right? And then that thought hits you. If I don't buy now, I'll be priced out forever. If that sounds familiar, yeah, that's exactly why we're here. Because most people aren't actually choosing between renting and buying. They're choosing between emotional comfort and financial reality. And today, we're talking about the 7% rule and why it might completely change how you think about buying a home in 2026. My name is Nate, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, investing, and why smart people keep making really bad housing decisions. If you're someone who feels pressure to buy because that's just what adults are supposed to do, or you're renting and quietly worried you're falling behind, hit that subscribe button. And if this video saves you from making a six-figure mistake, give it a thumbs up. Now let's start by challenging the biggest assumption in personal finance. Renting is throwing money away. Look, I get why people believe this. It feels true. You pay rent, and at the end of the month, you don't own anything. Meanwhile, homeowners say things like, "I'm building equity," or "My house pays me to live here," or my favorite, "Real estate always goes up." Here's what most people don't realize. Homeownership is one of the most expensive lifestyle choices you can make. Not an investment, a lifestyle choice. That idea comes straight from books like The Psychology of Money and The Millionaire Next Door. And this is where the 7% rule comes in. The 7% rule is a simple way to compare renting versus buying without emotions messing everything up. Here's how it works. If the total annual cost of owning a home is more than 7% of the home's value, renting is usually the better financial decision. That 7% isn't random. It comes from 5 real costs most people ignore: mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and opportunity cost. Let's break this down with real numbers. First, mortgage interest. As of 2026, mortgage rates aren't historically low anymore. 30-year fixed rates are hovering around 6 to 7% depending on credit and location. And here's the part people miss. During the first 10 years of your mortgage, most of your payment is interest. On a $600,000 mortgage at 6.5%, you're paying about $38,000 in interest in year 1 alone. That's not equity. That's rent to the bank. Next, property taxes. In many parts of North America, property taxes run about 1% of the home's value. On a $720,000 home, that's $7,200 a year. Again, no equity. Then there's maintenance. This is where homeowners lie to themselves. Roofs, furnaces, plumbing, appliances, random things breaking at the worst possible time. Over the long run, maintenance averages about 1% of the home's value every year. That's another $7,200 annually. Renters don't pay that. Insurance is next. Home insurance, liability, sometimes flood or earthquake coverage. Call it about 0.5% per year. Now here's the one that really messes with people: opportunity cost. Let's say you put 20% down on a $720,000 home. That's $144,000. If that money were invested in a simple index fund earning around 7% historically, that down payment could grow to over $500,000 in 20 years. Instead, it's locked into your walls. That lost growth is a real cost. Now let's add this up. 4% interest, 1% taxes, 1% maintenance, 0.5% insurance, and 1.5% opportunity cost. That's roughly 8% per year. So if you can rent the same lifestyle for less than 7 to 8% of the home's value, renting usually wins. Let's make this real. A $720,000 home at 7% costs about $50,000 per year. That's $4,200 a month. Now compare that to renting the same place for $3,100 a month. That's a difference of about $13,000 per year. If you invest that difference instead of sending it to the bank, you could have over $500,000 in 20 years. That's not theory, that's math. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but home prices always go up. Yes, but not like people think. According to long-term data from economists like Robert Shiller, Real home prices increase about 1% per year after inflation. Stocks, on the other hand, average 7 to 10% before inflation. Here's what most people don't realize. Your house is a decent inflation hedge. It's a terrible growth asset. People don't buy homes because it's optimal. They buy homes because it feels stable, because society rewards it, because it signals adulthood, because their parents did it. And look, those emotional reasons are valid, but pretending they're financial reasons is how people end up house poor. Buying can still make sense if you're staying long-term, your costs are below 7%, you're still investing for retirement, and you value stability more than flexibility. Home ownership isn't bad, it's just not automatically smart. So here's what you can do. Take the home price you're looking at and multiply it by 0.07. Divide by 12. That's your break-even rent. Compare apples to apples. And if you rent, invest the difference. Because renting only wins if you actually do something smart with the savings. Here's the truth no one says out loud. We don't regret bad math. We regret bad timing. The 7% rule doesn't tell you what to do. It just gives you clarity. And clarity is how wealth is actually built. You don't need a house to be wealthy. You need a plan. I'll see you in the next one.